After battling our way through the catacombs beneath town, we descend deeper into the 9th level to reveal caves bubbling with rivers of lava and are taken aback by the searing heat.
It's hot down here.
Just west of the cave's entrance, we find a curious sight on the ground, a patch of black mushrooms, and remark,
I can't use this yet.
Having no use for the mushroom, we take note of it fighting hordes of hellstone golems flinging their hot magma. Hit with a nasty glob of lava, we about face to recuperate momentarily and happen upon a lone tome of ingredients and potions just lying in the midst of ash and dirt that reads, the fungal tome. We wonder out loud what this could mean and head back to town to learn more about this moldy curiosity. Seeking out the witch Adria at the outskirts of town, we hope her knowledge of potions and brews comes in handy, and she says,
What do we have here? Interesting. It looks like a book of reagents. Keep your eyes open for a black mushroom. It should be fairly large and easy to identify. If you find it, bring it to me, won't you?
We pause for a moment and reflect on the mushroom patch we just encountered, but she reiterates,
It's a big black mushroom that I need. Now run off and get it for me so that I can use it for a special concoction that I am working on.
Agreeing to help, we then seek out more information and see Farnham the drunk and query if he'd seen any big black mushrooms, and he imparts,
Ogden mixes a mean black mushroom, but I get sick if I drink that. Listen. Here's the secret. Moderation is the key.
They say that those who can't do, teach. But that does sound like a spicy brew. We next seek out the sage wisdom of the elder Deckard Cain by his well, who muses,
The witch Adria seeks a black mushroom? I know as much about black mushrooms as I do about red herrings. Perhaps Pepin the healer could tell you more. But this is something that cannot be found in any of my stories or books.
That makes sense. The healer. We then turn to see Pepin out front of his hut about potential insight on the ingredient and...
What ails you, my friend?
Nothing. Wait, Cain just mentioned red herrings. I guess he knew Pepin wouldn't know anything about this. What a cheeky misdirect from the wily old man. We then speak to Griswold the blacksmith, and he exaggeratedly states,
If Adria doesn't have one of these, you can bet that's a rare thing indeed. I can offer you no more help than that. But it sounds like a huge, gargantuan, swollen, bloated mushroom. Well, good hunting, I suppose.
Whoa. Okay, Grizz, settle down. Next, we speak to Ogden, the innkeeper, about his supposed black shroom brew Farnham spoke of, but he rebukes.
Let me just say this. Both Garda and I would never, ever serve black mushrooms to our honored guests. If Adria wants some mushrooms in her stew, then that is her business, but I can't help you find any. Black mushrooms. Disgusting.
Acting as if caught by a health inspector, we can't help but wonder, what the hell did Farnham drink? Next, we ask Gillian the barmaid if she had seen this supposed brew, and she admits,
I think Ogden might have some mushrooms in the storage cellar. Why don't you ask him?
You know, I'm starting to think it was a failed experiment of Ogden's that he only used on Farnham. Next, we seek out Wirt the peg-legged boy. Maybe he has some shrooms in his inventory, but he counters,
I don't have any mushrooms of any size or color for sale. How about something a bit more useful?
With that, we know one thing. We gotta keep our eyes out for one big mushroom. Back down in the caves, we're confronted by a pack of winged gargoyles, intermingling with hellstones, drawing upon the hot rock below. We'd heard of the gargoyles. In ages past, it was customary to decorate buildings with the stone statues of demons that were enchanted to serve as guardians and protectors of those within. The misshapen figures of the statues were designed to taunt and anger any demons that attempted to gain entrance. It was Diablo himself that worked worked to unlock the wards that protected these granite images, and eventually was able to gild them with Hadean life. The gargoyles arose from their captive sleep and swooped down to prey upon those whom they were created to protect. Naturally, the remaining statues were immediately destroyed, but there were Signum that escaped and continue to terrorize the innocent to this day. The act of transforming from flesh to stone allows the creatures to heal any wounds that it has suffered, so we can see it's best to either avoid these demons entirely or to hunt them down until they're dead. With that, we do our best not to allow them to flee, for they soon will return in full force, and heaven knows how many of these gargoyles have sought sanctuary down in these caves, now in the service of the Lord of Terror himself. Clearing the area, we then spy a familiar sight, a patch of black mushrooms near some slain golems, and with a particularly large mushroom in the middle. We heft it out of the ground and exclaim,
Now that's one big mushroom.
Racing back to Adria, mushroom in inventory, she excitedly eyes it, saying,
Yes, this will be perfect for a brew that I am creating. By the way, the healer is looking for the brain of some demon or another so he can treat those who have been afflicted by their poisonous venom. I believe that he intends to make an elixir from it. If you help him find what he needs, please see if you can get a sample of the elixir for me.
Demon's brain? Our quest has taken us from warrior to physician's assistant rather quickly. Nevertheless, we oblige the witch and meet Pepin in front of his infirmary, and he instructs.
The witch told me that you were searching for the brain of a demon to assist me in creating my elixir. It should be of great value to the many who were injured by those foul beasts if I can just unlock the secrets I suspect that its alchemy holds. If you can remove the brain of a demon when you kill it, I would be grateful if you could bring it to me.
Now, on a vital quest to aid the townsfolk, hoping to heal their wounds before grievous damage can befall them, like poor Wirt and his diseased leg. We return once more to the caves below, in hunt of a big, fat, juicy demon brain for Pepin to dissect. On the 10th level of the caves, we're bombarded by magma balls as bloodstones lob their fiery projectiles safely from behind wooden fencing. Forcing us to open the fence, we let out bulky frost charges and kill the first in the doorway as its brethren amass to ram us with their deadly horns. Nearly overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of the pack, we reach into the gore of the bodies on the ground and extract a charger's brain and exclaim,
Just what I was looking for.
Realizing we best retreat with brain still intact, or lest we be swarmed, we back out of the lava-soaked den and portal back to town once more. Racing to Adria the witch with the brain tucked under her arm, she scolds.
Why have you brought that here? I have no need for a demon's brain at this time. I do need some of the elixir that the healer is working on. He needs that grotesque organ that you are holding, and then bring me the elixir. Simple when you think about it, isn't it?
Realizing our error, we make haste to the healer's hut and Pepin says,
Excellent! This is just what I had in mind. I was able to finish the elixir without this, but it can't hurt to have this to study. Would you please carry this to the witch? I believe that she is expecting it.
We do now have two distinct choices in this quest. If we decide to selfishly drink the elixir, Adria will not say a word to us upon our return, and the quest ends.
I sense a soul in search of answers.
If otherwise we collect the elixir from Pepin and give it to Adria, she again scolds.
What? Now you bring me that elixir from the healer? Oh, I was able to finish my brew without it. Why don't you just keep it?
With that, we can drink the elixir. In either scenario, we gain +3 to all attributes, indeed making it a powerful brew. No doubt Farnham would love to get his hands on, and the town is safer once more, but it's also a reminder that aiding others, no matter how seemingly insignificant, can potentially bear powerful fruits, or mushrooms, as it were. It should be noted, upon finding the girthy mushroom, the warrior seems to have several cut lines of dialogue which vary in humor levels, such as,
That's not such a big mushroom. I've never seen a mushroom that size. That mushroom's the size of a Cadillac. Damn, what a mushroom. What a mushroom.
Pelted by a hail of poison spitter acid, we return from the unrelenting demon attacks down below in the caves and back up to the town of Tristram once more. It's then we're beckoned by the town blacksmith, Griswold, who shares.
Greetings! It's always a pleasure to see one of my best customers. I know that you've been venturing deeper into the labyrinth, and there's a story I was told that you may find worth the time to listen to. One of the men who returned from the labyrinth told me about a mystic anvil that he came across during his escape. His description reminded me of legends I had heard in my youth about the burning Hellforge, where powerful weapons of magic are crafted. The legend had it that deep within the Hellforge rested the Anvil of Fury. This anvil contained within it the very essence of the demonic underworld. It is said that any weapon crafted upon the burning anvil is imbued with great power. If this anvil is indeed the Anvil of Fury, I may be able to make you a weapon capable of defeating even the darkest lord of hell. Find the anvil for me, and I'll get to work.
A great anvil imbued with dark power? We see the barely contained lust for a dark lord-ending artifact, such as the fabled anvil dancing in Griswold's eyes, but have seen ourselves the harsh reality of what promised demonic trinkets can impart. Especially a demonic anvil absconded would bring forth the full fury of hell itself. Somewhat reluctant, we seek out the other townsfolk for any information gleaned on this legendary anvil, heading out to the resident demonologist, Adria the Witch by her hut, who tempts.
There are many artifacts within the labyrinth that hold powers beyond the comprehension of mortals. Some of these hold fantastic power that can be used by either the light or the darkness. Securing the anvil from below could shift the course of the sin war towards the light.
Somehow, we think to ourselves, the artifacts of hell are only meant to be wielded by demons alone. Pondering this, we then speak to Farnham, the town drunk, but as soon as we mention the anvil, he simply blurts out,
Griswold can't sell his anvil. What will he do then? And I'd be angry too if someone took my anvil.
I will make sure to send my sympathies to Griswold, old Farnham. Wait, it isn't Griswold's anvil. Whoever owns it is going to be furious if we take it. Somehow, as Farnham does, he's inadvertently helped us contemplate our plight cryptically, but a little bit more nonetheless. We then speak to the resident scholar, Deckard Cain, about the lore of such an anvil's legend, and he recalls.
Griswold speaks of the Anvil of Fury, a legendary artifact long searched for, but never found. Crafted from the metallic bones of the razor pit demons, the Anvil of Fury was smelt around the skulls of the 5 most powerful magi of the underworld. Carved with runes of power and chaos, any weapon or armor forged upon this anvil will be immersed into the realm of chaos, embedding it with magical properties. It is said that the unpredictable nature of chaos makes it difficult to know what the outcome of this smithing will be.
Realm of Chaos. That sounds safe. A testament to just how desperate our plight has become. Heading to the infirmary next, we speak with Pepin the Healer, who says,
If you had been looking for information on the pestle of curing or the silver chalice of purification, I could have assisted you, my friend. However, in this matter, you would be better served to speak to either Griswold or Cain.
Chalice of purification, eh? Wouldn't mind finding that and giving Farnham a sip or two. We then speak to Wirt the peg-legged boy about the anvil and perhaps enhanced wares, but instead he rebukes.
If you were to find this artifact for Griswold, it could put a serious damper on my business here. You'll never find it.
Who would have thought? Wirt doesn't appreciate fair trade. We then make our way to Gillian, the barmaid's house, and she remembers of the tale.
Griswold's father used to tell some of us when we were growing up about a giant anvil that was used to make mighty weapons. He said that when a hammer was struck upon this anvil, the ground would shake with a great fury. Whenever the earth moves, I always remember that story.
Ah, no wonder Griswold is so keen on the idea. It was his own father who regaled him with tales as a boy of the legendary anvil. Lastly, we see Ogden, the innkeeper, who helpfully states,
Don't you think that Griswold would be a better person to ask about this? He's quite handy, you know.
"You don't say." Shaking off the feeling Ogden was just lightly patronising us, we instead take the innkeeper at his word and head back down to the caves in search of the famed Anvil of Fury. Down on level 10 of the caves, we are all but overwhelmed by crimson gargoyles, known as blood claws, golden vanishing illusion weavers, and the vomitous poison spitters, regurgitating rank poison spat in torrents and sizzling underfoot as its toxins gnaw at our heels and burrows into our bloodstream. We've heard horrific tales of these creatures before. It's said of the poison spitters, after an especially violent battle, Baal, the Lord of Destruction, would enjoy celebrating with his brothers by holding a feast of blood, human flesh, and other hellish delights. The Bestia Acerbus are the descendants of dog-like creatures that lived by feeding upon the remains of Baal's nightmarish feasts. The variety of vile substances that the creature consumed, along with their close proximity of the Lord of Destruction, twisted and warped the viscera of these hounds of hell. These quadrupedal creatures are scavengers, able to move with insidious agility, and their armored backs are festooned with scales and ridges. Spitting terrors are capable of spitting up a variety of caustic fluids and projecting them from a considerable distance. Packs of these terrors are especially devastating, as their bile has been known to eat through the strongest of armor and poison the most hardy of men. They will move in on their prey that seems weak or crippled. Great care must be taken when within the lair of these bestia. Their venom retains its potency for a considerable amount of time, and puddles of it may be found everywhere. When killed, the beast's inner toxins eat through the now dead flesh, leaving a dangerous trap for those foolish enough to tread upon the corpse. After contending with the spitters one by one, we confront their leader, the unique Plague Wrath, which is cursed with a terrible flash spell when we near the wretched beast. We then attempt to use magic such as Fireball and Chain Lightning to counter its close quarter spells to little effect. Cornering the critter, we take the brunt of several flash spells as it falls in a heap of poison, before collecting a yellow axe off its corpse. Heavily fatigued, we head back to town and see Griswold the blacksmith once more with an update about the anvil, but instead he just promises.
Nothing yet, eh? Well, keep searching. A weapon forged upon the anvil could be your best hope, and I'm sure that I can make you one of legendary proportions.
And so our search continues for the anvil, restocked and resolve renewed as we venture into the caves once more. Clearing the caves, we happen upon a great cavernous expanse. In the middle bubbles a vast lake of lava, square in appearance, save a small peninsula in the middle. We make our way around the scorching magma and dispatch a lone blood claw that had watched us from its stony state. Seemingly empty, we see the Anvil of Fury itself, unguarded in the middle of the landmass. We race towards it then.
I shall crush you!
A vomitous-coloured overlord demon, fittingly named the Smith, appears through a red portal, cleaver in hand, as it swings wild in an attempt to defend its invaluable keepsake. We about face and are hacked with the cleaver itself. Its horrible bite sinking into our armor, and if we didn't possess Arcane's valor, we surely would perish on the spot. The speed of the Smith is unparalleled for its size, as its back is exposed, summoning the Guardian spell, but again, to little avail. The Smith, seeing our desperation already, possesses an air of assured victory in its wicked gaze as it narrows our escape back to its coveted anvil on a lonely land mass. Pushed back to the peninsula and dangerously close to the edge of the lava, we know we only have one option lest our corpse is permanently submerged in the Red River. We weather the blows of the Smith and retaliate with all the strength we can muster and yell,
Time to die.
The Overlord, momentarily stunned by our renewed courage, creates for us an opening, and we hack at its bloated belly until it falls dead on the ground. Exhausted, we pant, picking up a unique cap and axe, and attempt to pick up the anvil itself, but are immediately dismayed at its girth, frustratedly exclaiming,
Where would I put this? I can't carry anymore.
We then make preparations to strap the anvil to our back and room in our inventory to do so and exclaim,
I need to get this to Griswold.
Now lugging an entire anvil like a beast of burden, we portal back to town and see Griswold, who is astonished and says,
Oh, I can hardly believe it! This is the Anvil of Fury! Good work, my friend. Now, we'll show those bastards that there are no weapons in hell more deadly than those made by men! Take this, and may light protect you!
Griswold, wasting no time, starts to use his forge and the powers of hell and chaos to create a mighty broadsword that thrums with power, which he hands to us and calls it Griswold's Edge.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
We immediately take the weapon to Kane, who identifies its new chaos properties as 27% chance to hit, plus 65 enhanced damage, fire hit damage 1 to 10, plus 20% increased attack speed, plus 25% chance to knock back enemies, and to top it off, it's indestructible. Truly a boon for the light, as Griswold had remarked. And we then realize what better weapon to use against the enemy than their own. It should be noted that Griswold's Edge in vanilla Diablo can be regarded as one of the most powerful unique swords in normal difficulty due to its many qualities, but this version is slightly different as this is the Beelzebub HD mod featuring cut content, such as the Smith Demon, who was not present in Diablo 1 but appeared in Act 1 of Diablo 2. However, I feel that it adds a lot more depth to the quest, battling the Smith over his anvil versus just picking up the anvil guarded by some generic demons. Speaking of demons, it looks like, thanks to Griswold, we now have an invaluable edge. Once the player has entered level 11, if you approach Jillian the barmaid, she says,
Beg pardon, but have you heard what has been happening? Some of the men have vanished from the village. Disa's sons, Aeneas and Ruf, claim to have seen strange lights glowing deep within the woods a few days ago, but no one has heard from them since. I too have seen a crimson shimmering from beyond the ash groves, but I've been too afraid to approach it. I fear that Ogden or our healer Pepin may be next. Won't you please find out what has happened?
It's curious that somewhere in the forest near the village, out in the open, which we have never explored in the original Diablo game, are supposedly sinister crimson lights beyond some ash grove, and being reported by villagers as not only Jillian mentions Dika and an unseen character, but also her sons Aeneas and Ruf, who undoubtedly didn't make it into the final cut of the game. We also have leads of whom Jillian fears for, as she remarked both Pepin the Healer and Ogden's safety may be in question, though as the forest is northwest of the town, one can only assume that Wirt himself would be easy pickings, but we shall check on him later, even if Jillian does not. Heading to Ogden to learn more of this curious phenomena, he says,
Greetings, good master. Welcome to the Tavern of the Rising Sun. Jillian has been going on and on about strange lights in the trees, but I haven't been able to make heads nor tails of her story. I certainly haven't seen any strange lights, and if I did, they would be the least of my worries.
Well, it seems the jittery innkeeper Ogden has just dismissed Jillian, perhaps weary of the onslaught of demons through the town, or maybe he doesn't think her claims hold much weight. In any case, before we see Pepin, we should pop around the corner to the most trustworthy of sources, Farnham, the drunk, for his hot take on these mysterious lights.
Can't a fellow drink in peace?
Well, that was enlightening. I guess it's off to Pepin then.
Roof and Aeneas are missing? Light, protect us! Is there no place that is safe? Our only hope of returning to a peaceful life rests in you. Please, you must find those boys and bring them home to their family.
Pepin fully embraces the gravity of this dire situation and urges us to find this Roof and Aeneas. With little doubt that they are out in the grove, we seek the wisdom of Deckard Cain on the matter.
While the barmaid may seem a bit confused at times, it is true that men have been disappearing from the village. It reminds me of ancient writings about a demonic temptress called Andariel. Known as the Maiden of Anguish, her thirst for mortal blood was so great that she sought to learn a spell to breach the mortal realm. By seducing one of the dark sorcerers of the netherworld, Andariel took the knowledge she needed and so began to lure mortal men into her dark corner of hell. If these legends are true, she is not a creature to be taken lightly.
First off, it's amusing how dismissive, as Deckard refers to her offhand even as the barmaid. Second, Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish herself. Instead, she appears to be more of a demonic succubi, first breaking the seal between the burning hells and the mortal realm, and second, seducing men as she thirsts for mortal blood. What a wretched creature she is if we are indeed to face her. Stealing our resolve, we head to Griswold, the blacksmith, to learn what the best way to put down a demonic temptress is with steel.
I admit that I too have seen these strange lights, but I have not felt pulled towards them. I'll be sure to steer clear of them, and will tell everyone that visits here to do likewise.
I'm unsure what to make of this. Is Griswold unfazed by the lights of a temptress due to his resolve? Is he bewitched, or is he unaffected by the fairer sex? Could be a telling character moment, but it's not really our focus. Instead, we decide to commiserate with one well-versed in the dark arts and feminine wiles, about 40 years ago. So we speak to Adria the Witch.
The succubus is a demon that feasts upon the essence of mortal men. You will find that Andariel has quite an appetite. The town will soon be devoid of any adult males unless you stop her feeding now.
Unbelievable! Andariel in her current incarnation, much like Lilith, is a succubi, feeding on males. No wonder some of the men seem addled and dismissive. Maybe her spell clouds their vision. But one thing is for certain, if hell pouring forth into Tristram isn't enough, so too is the Maiden of Anguish and her minions luring what's left of the able-bodied male stragglers out of town. And she must be stopped at all costs, but not before we quickly talk to a beguiled boy, Wirt, who himself is smitten by Gillian the barmaid, but probably not of age to be lured into the forest.
No, I've been looking for those lights, but I can't find them. If Gillian says they are there, I believe her, but I have yet to see them for myself.
It's confirmed Wirt cannot see the lights. This is very interesting. It seems he really mustn't be of age. With that, we head north out of town, and the mod itself has slightly moved things around with the caves in place. However, what looks like a second opening to hell appears north of Wirt's old tree and leads us to the underground passage. Remarkably, this is the first open dungeon in Diablo 1. One can only guess why it was cut from the final game, though it makes sense why the developers may have some trepidation about adding a new landscape to the final game and the resources it would take. However, I am in awe of how the Beelzebub mod team have made sure to keep Diablo 1's atmosphere intact with a lower view draw distance to make sure you don't feel like you're an adventurer slogging through the dreary fields near the rogue encampment of Diablo 2, but instead the horror tone of Diablo 1 remains fully intact. As we investigate the forest, we spy the strange red lights described by the townsfolk and a plethora of demons. Notably, frost chargers who rush us, spitters making things tough thanks to the new rivers between us to contend with, and the ever-wretched Dusk Clan goatmen looking for any opportunity to drop us where we stand. Of which some uniques appear between them, as Seth the Ripper Hunter, who drops a yellow amulet and is extra strong, and Gut Dancer the Dark, who is a spitter with a nasty acid and in turn drops a yellow cape. With a pause in combat to collect ourselves, curiosity gets the better of us, or perhaps the lure of the succubi, and we investigate the light a little too closely, in which we are cursed with lessened magical resistances for 40 seconds, as we are softly illuminated by the crimson light, checking decapitated corpses one by one for the Lost Boys, with the restless, ever-watching eyes of demons just over the river. With that, a charger explodes out of a cave, rushing us, named Gloryhorn, the Boner. While the Fright was quite the addition gameplay-wise, the name was a little immersion-breaking and I doubt it was in the original, at least 50% sure, as it was the 90s and it was a bunch of young dude programmers. Heading northwest, we are hit with a barrage of unfamiliar spells. It seems a torrent of blood stars pour our way, and we're forced to back up and collect ourselves. Stealing our resolve, we head back towards the source and are peppered with unavoidable yellow missiles by none other than the Maiden of Anguish herself. Surrounded by a myriad of dead men strewn about in a mocking fashion, naked, hanging, and bloody corpses defile the land, and a cauldron sits near. As a warrior and decently leveled, we only have one option: to hack at Andariel with our cleave ability and hope our armor and potions hold out. After a grueling battle, the foul demon is finally felled.
You lure no more men to their deaths.
Aiden triumphantly remarks that she shan't be luring poor men to their death anymore, and although she drops a fair amount of choice loot, I cannot think of the fate of the boys Anais and Ruth. Heading back to town, although usually there's no update when a quest is completed, Jillian thanks us for keeping the men of the village safe. But it's clear the boys, unfortunately, weren't so lucky.
Demons that assume the form of beautiful women, you say? That's horrible. Thank the light that you solved this mystery before any more of our men were lured to their deaths. Thank you for keeping us safe from the powers of darkness once again.
With that, we see Deckard Cain to identify our bounty, among which Andariel drops the unique Maiden's Amulet, which boasts a whopping +5 to all attributes, +30 to fire resist, 2 mana regen per 5 seconds, and hit steals 3% mana. It's great for a sorcerer or any player for that matter, as skills are very thirsty for mana in the Beelzebub mod, which is linked in the description and made this quest possible, and it's just a great quality of life mod to add something to the game if you're looking to re-explore Diablo 1.
An island where angels watched? Although Farnham's memory is often cloudy these days, that does seem familiar.
Once the player has entered the caves, or level 12, at this point, if you head back to town and approach Farnham, the drunk, he slurs.
Hey, you there. Come here, listen up. You know about the island where angels watch? Pick the right rocks, but you better shield your eyes. Shield everything. I know, 'cause I've been there, and... ale.
We have several clues from Farnham about some island where angels watch and picking correct rocks. It all seems like gibberish and goes downhill quickly as he slips into an ale-filled fantasy midway. So, not completely writing off Farnham's tale of angels just yet, we head to Ogden, the tavern owner, to see if he overheard some more tangible information.
You know, sometimes I wonder how much faith you can put into what Farnham says. He spends so much time reliving his memories of the labyrinth and just being plain drunk that he doesn't always make much sense. I guess you could ask around, though.
Ogden, none the wiser than us, questions the validity of Farnham's claim, yet directs us to speak to the other townsfolk. So, we see the second best source of gossip in town, Jillian, the barmaid.
Those are the words of a drunkard. I don't see how they could be true.
Jillian heavily dismisses Farnham and makes us question whether or not his words are the addled ramblings of a drunken fool, so we try the wry wort for a change of pace.
This is one time that you should listen to Farnham. I have heard of this place, and I know a few sorcerers who have tried to create a portal to get there.
I'm glad we didn't write off Farnham prematurely. Apparently, this place is sought after by sorcerers and requires some form of portal. Interesting. We should stock up with Pepin the Healer and learn more if we can.
For once, I can vouch for Farnham's extraordinary claim. There are many mentions in the books that I've been reading about a place of great healing where warriors of light would go to mend the wounds sustained in the Sin War. If you could find this place, it would most assuredly be to the benefit of us all.
This is extraordinary. Warriors healed of wounds and from the infamous Sin War, no less, where a man expelled the forces of heaven and hell from Sanctuary. With that, we speak to Griswold, who was conveniently eavesdropping, and say,
Farnham speaks of a place that exists, at least in legend. Warriors would go to a place at the edge of hell to gird themselves for battle against the armies of darkness. If the stories are true, untold treasures could lie upon this island of the Sunless Sea.
Wow. Portals, healing, the edge of hell, and now treasure? This place sounds remarkable, if it does indeed exist. There's no question in my mind we should seek out the town scholar, Deckard Cain, and get his take on these events. So we approach the aging Cain standing by the well in the middle of town, and he says,
An island where angels watched? Although Farnham's memory is often cloudy these days, that does seem familiar. Perhaps the ancient chronicles of the Sin War can help us. Ah, yes, here is something. In a time long forgotten, a sea of blue rested on the edge of the fiery netherworld. This was an oasis for those who acted as the watchmen over the gates of hell. Angels and warriors of light could use this place to heal themselves and gather their strength. It was also a staging area where they could train and prepare for the Sin War. Legends speak of a trinity of rocks that hide the path to this island of the Sunless Sea.
This tale gets more intriguing by the second, a staging ground for angels to hone their martial prowess against the burning hells. Now we know a portal is necessary for entry and that statues are the key. We best consult with Adria, the witch, before we attempt to breach this curious island.
This legendary place is real, and great rewards await you should you find it. Nothing more can I say.
Although Adria again confirms its existence, we are left with nothing more than a prompting to seek out this fabled island, and so we head back down to level 12 of the caves in search of the statues. In the caves, once more, we're set upon by spitters and overlords aplenty, until we find a curious room with 4 pressure pads, although no clues are left for us to unlock them, so we head back to town quickly to hopefully be advised further by Farnham. Farnham, just plumb tuckered out, is indisposed due to our previous conversation and leaves us none the wiser on how to unlock our goal, so we must work on this puzzle ourselves. Through trial and error, we figure out that going from south, north, east, west, it seems to stay in line with the devilish motif, the reverse of the Holy Cross.
Legends speak of a trinity of rocks.
As we step into this newly found area, it's quickly apparent something's wrong. Is this the fabled secret training area of angels, said to heal wounded warriors and be full of treasures? It looks like a green, corrupted lava area with a single campfire for rest, but is it friendly or overrun by the burning legions? As we touch the first flame, it explodes in a flash and shows it is indeed, unfortunately, corrupted, spelling things to come. As we round the corner, we're met with an unfriendly pack of undead Balrogs hurling ice at us and their fire-belching brethren, the Guardians. As we are nearly overrun by both, hacking our way through packs and sub-bosses alike, we do find a handy spell of infravision to clear the way, and as we see more corrupted campfires, it becomes apparent we must extinguish them to aid in the cleansing of this once holy sanctuary. It's then we spy an angelic statue alone on an island, and we're flanked by a group of guardians with their sub-boss, Archon the Flayer, a poison-enchanted mini-boss. We fight our way through, face Archon, and collect a green ring from his corpse before heading back to the curious statue. Although, when we touch the statue, nothing happens. We're left to our own devices to unlock it. And so, extinguishing the flames around the statue, a boss undead Balrog appears from it, named Samuel the Dead Speaker, who unleashes ghastly apparitions at us that track us down, summons guardians while spitting rings of acid, a terrible foe at lower levels, and he would have dropped us quickly where we stood. As such, we close the gap and focus him down, landing the killing blow which disintegrates this foul skeleton and his minions with it. On screen, we see the taint has lifted and the waters return from Samuel's foul yellow taint to an angelic blue. As such, we head back to town to identify the bow we dropped, as well as the other loot we found too. The ring we found is a green set piece called Death's Grasp, which has resist all, plus 14%, damage taken from enemies, and 2 points to damage. The bow Samuel drops is called Bramble Song, which has a healthy plus 47% chance to hit, plus 70% enhanced base damage, making it 5 to 17, 4 to 16 fire damage, and plus 23% chance to knock back. Truly a bow fit for an angel. We also found a handy yellow ring named Viper Band with a huge plus 36% resist magic, plus 12 to strength, regen mana 3 per 5 seconds, which is also not a bad find. The island definitely lived up to its treasure boasting ways, although when we returned to Farnham, he doesn't say any more and has seemingly forgotten about the quest already as he is enjoying his ale.
Can't a fellow drink in peace?
Ah, you speak of an ancient and evil weapon. Tread lightly in this area, for the legends of Shadowfang are as black as a moonless winter night. Crafted within the Hellforge, Shadowfang can rend the very soul from whoever it strikes. Ah, I do not envy you if it is in your mind to defeat the one who wields it. May light protect you, brave hero.
Pivotal to Fleshdoom is also quest giver Tremaine the Priest. But who is Tremaine, you ask, and why have you likely not seen him either? Well, Tremaine was a character planned for Diablo 1 who does not appear in the final game for reasons unknown, but there are sound files of his speech in the game's main data file.
All I can do now is pray for us all.
He was supposed to travel in and out of Tristram and was to trigger the Fleshdoom, wielder of Shadowfang quest, which, as mentioned, also never made it into the game's final release. However, thanks to the Beelzebub mod bringing these files back to life, we can experience the quest close to as it was intended.
I shall crush you.
If you head to level 13 of the Burning Hells, he can activate the Fleshdoom questline, and approaching him, he says,
I have had a most disturbing experience that I must share with you, my friend. Earlier today, I was called upon to help one of the men that escaped from the labyrinth. He was deranged, violent, and kept lashing out at all of those who tried to calm him. I suspected that he was possessed by some sort of demonic entity, and so began to drive the evil from within him. After many hours, I was able to exorcise a demon who called himself Fleshdoom, but the Hellion fled into the labyrinth. You may think that I am mad, but after speaking with the man and battling with Fleshdoom, I believe that the labyrinth has somehow become a gateway to the underworld. As you descend deeper, you may find yourself upon the doorstep of hell itself. Finally, the man who was possessed retained memories of an ancient demon blade named Shadowfang. If you find the demon Fleshdoom, beware this foul sword. While I fear the dangers below grow even greater, you must find Fleshdoom and slay him. Bring the sword to me and I can destroy it, but do not wield it, for its power can corrupt absolutely.
Tremaine immediately displays his valor and utility in Tristram as a holy man, even able to exorcise this Fleshdoom from a poor townsman. But as Fleshdoom has fled back to hell and it seems may still be in possession of the corrupt Shadowfang blade that consumes souls en masse, we are best to do as Tremaine says and bring the sword back to him post-haste. Before we head down though, we should consult the wisdom of the townsfolk of Tristram.
Greetings, good master. Welcome to the Tavern of the Rising Sun. I saw the exorcism. It was incredible how Tremaine drove the evil spirit from that man's racked and tortured body. I pray that something that horrific never happens to anyone here ever again.
With that ghastly description, I cannot help think that what happened to the villager, so we head to Pepin the healer for potential clues. But first, a quick stop for some of Farnham's sage advice.
Can't a fellow drink in peace? You gonna hunt down a demon? Is that what you said? I know I didn't hear that, 'cause nobody hunts down demons. Nope, nobody.
Farnham may be drowning in booze, but he's right to be in awe of the thought of demon hunters.
What ails you, my friend? I was asked to assist in the exorcism. My skills were able to ease the poor man's suffering as Tremaine drove the demon from his body. While I was treating him for an exceptionally high fever, he spoke of a place of searing heat. The tortured fellow cried out about hell and falling into a pit of flame. I could not make any sense of it, and thankfully he soon recovered.
Pepin too recalls a grisly tale of a man's exorcism, and it seems we are best to take to the burning hells once more, lest Fleshdoom attacks the townsfolk. Down on level 13, we are set upon by scores of flame-spitting berserker vortex lords and torrents of blood stars thanks to the resident succubi, all vying to take down the lone wanderer. It's then we hear an unfamiliar voice bark a threat of taking our soul. This has to be the infamous Fleshdoom. It immediately becomes apparent with his vicious AoE casting, we are on the back foot and need to clear a path back to town. Fleshdoom takes chase and we turn to face him in a solo confrontation. After a long and arduous battle, his body is eviscerated and sent back to the abyss whence he came, and we spy, among various items, Shadowfang to take back to Tremaine and finally be destroyed. However, as we attempt to pick it up, Aiden says,
I don't want that.
And it's clear we must seek Tremaine's advice once more on how to deal with and dispose of this cursed blade, as we cannot touch it.
Fleshdoom's demise is a great good to the world, yet Shadowfang remains. It must be found and destroyed. Do not attempt to use the demon blade, champion. It will corrupt and madden any mortal who wields it. I alone can end its dark evil.
With a grave warning, we are tasked with retrieving the blade for Tremaine alone to dispose of. However, I think it's prudent we learn more about the blade first, as surely some of the other townsfolk have heard of it. Heading to Word, he says,
Psst, over here. I don't know who this Fleshdoom is, but I have heard rumors of an ebon blade that cleaves a soul from the body. Even I would not try to sell that thing, no matter what the profit. If you find it, you should do as Tremaine says and destroy it as quickly as possible.
If even Wirt, the shifty grifter, is wary of the blade, one can only assume the worst. Speaking of the darker elements of Tristram, we ventured to Adria's shack for a witch's viewpoint.
You must be ever watchful, for Fleshdoom is an enemy who is both cruel and quick. His ebon blade is composed of the essence of evil. If you can destroy both of them, it would do much to weaken his dark master.
Adamant this will harm Diablo and the forces of the Burning Hells, wasting not another second, we tepidly step into the Burning Hells once more to gingerly pick up Shadowfang.
I can see why they fear this weapon.
With no time to spare, we rush back to Tremaine with the blade.
Light be praised! You found the cursed demon blade. Only its destruction can ensure the safety of us all. Wait, what treachery is this? Oh, it burns! Hellfire consuming me! You must take this to the Hellforge and cast it in before... No!
What unspeakable treachery has befallen poor Tremaine? He's eviscerated where he stands by this foul blade, soul presumably dragged into the blade and body rend asunder in one last mocking act of defiance by Fleshdoom.
This blade must be destroyed.
As this is cut content, no other villagers, unfortunately, react to Tremaine's death. But the man they call Deckard Cain does have a clue on the Hellforge Tremaine spoke of.
The priest Tremaine is a holy man from an ancient order. Their dealings with the evil forces at work are well respected and well documented. I too have heard legends that speak of the cursed demon blade called Shadowfang. It is said to consume the tortured souls of its victims. These souls are trapped within its ebon blade and augment its unholy power. I have also read of a great hell forge where even the mightiest weapon could be created or destroyed. Tread carefully when dealing with Shadowfang and its master, lest you be drawn into the sword as well.
The Hellforge, of course, is featured prominently in Diablo 2, and it seems we have the unenviable task of venturing down to find the Hellforge ourselves and destroy the blade. It's in level 14 of the Burning Hells, past a nasty nest of golden vipers, we come across a lone switch with 3 pressure pads. By unlocking each in the correct sequence, it opens the path to the infamous Hellforge, girt by the River of Flame.
It's hot down here.
It's here we encounter a plethora of Balrog variants, including sub-bosses like Brutalis the Strong, the flame-spewing cold-enchanted Baron Denial of Grim, and waves of obsidian founders and overlords teeming on this endless sea of lava, at the end of which Hephasto awaits at the entrance of the forge. Enchanted with haste and a particularly nasty poison, if allowed to close the gap and standing in a puddle of damage, he will make sure even the most prepared adventurer is felled easily. Better equipped and prepared to tread lightly around his poison puddles, we face Hephasto once more. Finally, felling Hephasto, he drops a myriad of loot, one such item being his Hellforge hammer, pivotal in destroying Shadowfang. We then equip the hammer and head to the anvil.
I'd have to equip that.
Destroying Shadowfang, we are gifted with a mysterious mace, as a plume of light engulfs the blade.
Thank the light.
With the harrowing quest at an end, a grim fate for Tremaine, we head to Deckard Cain to learn of this mace.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
We then identify the fabled Light Forge mace, which, as a part of the original game code, modders have coveted for some time, with +8 to all attributes, 25 chance to hit, 150% enhanced damage, and an impressive 20 to 30 fire hit damage and 30% light radius, plus being indestructible to boot, it seems the light has taken pity on us for the tumultuous experience we have just witnessed, and been gifted quite a formidable mace for the looming evil of the Lord of Terror himself, Diablo, in the trials ahead. But what do you think of Fleshdoom Quest? Do you wish it was in-game? It's such a shame that one man you want on your side during an invasion of the devil incarnate, a priest, Tremaine, died in vain to stop a demon's foul machinations. Once the player has entered the 12th level of Hell, heading back to town and approaching Wirt, the peg-legged boy, he muses...
Where is that stupid map? It was supposed to be between the rock and the tree before the bridge. It should be right here. Oh, hello there. Didn't see you standing there.
So, Wirt speaks of a lost map between a rock and a tree, eh? Sounds like we may want to get our hands on it before he hobbles about to find it himself. So we approach Pepin, the healer, to see if he knows anything about this lost map, which has started the quest Lost Treasure in our journal. To which he says,
I really don't have time to discuss some map you are looking for. I have many sick people that require my help, and yours as well.
Well, it seems Pepin has stepped into the role of Ogden for a change, rebuking us for seeking out this lost treasure. We might as well check with the town scholar Deckard Kane to see if he has overheard anything or if he'll be a little bit nicer about it.
There was a time when this town was a frequent stop for travelers from far and wide. Much has changed since then, but hidden caves and buried treasure are common fantasies of any child. Wirt seldom indulges in youthful games, so it may just be his imagination.
Ah, so Kane thinks this is just a child's game. But so too did the villagers doubt Farnham in our previous episode. Speaking of our inebriated comrade, let's check down with Farnham for clues as he is plopped down by his favourite drinking rock.
Hey, let me see that. Thanks.
Ugh. Farnham, after fouling an unnamed item of ours, seemingly fabric, has cleared his nose, but we know not much more. So we pop back up to Griswold, who we saw commiserating with Kane.
What? This is foolishness! There's no treasure buried here in Tristram! Let me see that. Look, these drawings are inaccurate. They don't match our town at all. I'd keep my mind on what lies below the cathedral, and not what lies below our topsoil.
I have no idea what or which map Griswold refers to, but he seems a bit perturbed by the idea we're seeking treasure versus fighting the forces of hell. Maybe this is a common theme with travelers and looters who do more harm than good recently in Tristram. So we speak to Ogden, the tavern owner.
I'll bet that Wirt saw you coming and put on an act just so he could laugh at you later when you're running around the town with your nose in the dirt.
Well, it seems the townsfolk trust the slippery ginger nut known as Wirt as far as they can throw him, and with his girth I'd say that's probably not very far. Also far removed is Adria, who never seems bothered by Wirt, and maybe she has a lead.
Maintain your quest. Finding a treasure that is lost is not easy. Finding a treasure that is hidden, less so. I will leave you with this. Do not let the sands of time confuse your search.
Well, although Adria tried to be poignant, it still just seems like more riddles. She basically said, don't waste time looking for a quest. Unsure with our last clue gone cold, we trudge up to Gillian the barmaid, albeit a bit desperately. As we head to Gillian, we spy what appears to be a map plumb between a rock and a tree, not a stone's throw from Wirt. His little peg leg must have betrayed him, and we've happened upon the map. Before he has, we race and pick it up, and it says that it will show us the location of this treasure on the mini-map, which appears to be just over the river. So we quickly consult with Jillian, who says,
How? A treasure map? Do you have it with you? Let me see. It looks like this is pretty old, and some of the buildings in the town are not on this map. Oh, I wish I could go and look for the treasure with you, but I have to start work soon.
well, it looks like we're after a treasure hunt solo. Better leave Jillian to look after her grandmammy. Heading west out of town, our minimap marker leads us to a cave. We head inside to find a strange blue liquid permeating the bottom of a dingy cave floor. What treasure is worth going in this dark and uninviting cave remains to be seen. As we cautiously round the first corner, the wall reveals its facade as a pack of vipers pounce. Caught off guard, we cast a town portal or two, realizing our spells are improperly equipped, not before slaying the vipers the old-fashioned way, with sword and steel against flesh. Note to self, always check spells. As we round the next corner, a viper, known as Boral Goral, explodes out of a hidden passageway. But not even this unique with his enhanced strength can fell us at this level. As we blow out some barrels, another false wall reveals an even bigger pack of viper variants. Sick of being ambushed and switching gears into a true exterminator, which is what we basically have become, we start to utilize fire spells like Firewall to flush out the vipers and illuminate our way. It's then we step unwittingly into a barrage of viper venom. These champions are resistant to fire, it seems, with their leader Bloodsnot lazily effusing bolts of lightning and wads of snot-coloured acid. If this is a callback to Farnham, it's the most meta one yet. We clear out the greater opening with more of this strange blue liquid on an island in the middle, yet we find a no closer to answers in this maze of serpents. Although the room is cleared and seemingly we are at a dead end on our map, we once again spy a bevy of suspiciously placed barrels. As we enter an opening with another pool of water, Aiden remarks,
Just what I was looking for.
and we find a bunch of random loot, no doubt the reward for navigating this nasty nest. However, there still remains another few barrels in the corner.
Could blow up the whole village.
As the barrels erupt and unlock a further area called Into the Unknown. Strange. This looks like we could have blown clear back into a subterranean layer of the cathedral. This cannot bode well for us. Damn it, Wirt. I just wanted precious treasure. As we step forward, we see eerily lit rooms and red campfires with a void beneath a path. This does not bode well at all. We pull a lever and are confronted by an archmage Amalric, who is blessed with fire enchants, but not much HP as we fell him without fuss. With another few levers pulled, we are confronted by dead caller Zuckultl, who is a nasty necromancer, and although maneuvers well, we outpace him and put him down. Again, the third quadrant around the main room appears, and a blood mage, Aratus, who likes a cheeky firewall himself, but is no match for us close quarters. Each mage gifting us knowledge through their hidden spell times, items, and a myriad of scrolls to use. It's quite the boon. However, before we celebrate, we need to keep our wits about us as we finally enter the last room. We remark to ourselves about
I've got a bad feeling about this.
when confronted by Sergius the heretic, the supposed ringleader in the room laconically shooting torrents of lightning from his safe perch. As we breach the gap, thinking victory is assured, in a display of raw displeasure, he resurrects all of the previous felled wizards we just fought. Suddenly, we have flame walls, firebolts, and spells inundating our personal space. One by one, we track down the wizards using our own insanity spell, granting us a boon in speed and power, but the cost is fatigue as it wears off quickly, so we rush the final wizard before we're exhausted, and Aiden remarks,
"Time to die." Light.
Gifted a small bounty, we gather up the items before heading back to town, one of which is curiously called the Symbol of the Abandoned Gods. Identifying the gold mace we received to be Crack Rust, which boasts +7 to all attributes, plus 75% damage, fire hit damage 6 to 12, resist all 5%, it's indestructible and only restricted until level 5, however all spells are decreased by 1 level, which is huge. I guess it's okay for a low-level warrior, but even then, as we are reliant on spells in the Beelzebub mod, we may as well sell it. With that, we take a closer look at this curious symbol of the abandoned god, which gives our current character a whopping 3 points to all base attributes. A gift gratefully accepted. Well, that was a strange quest. In the end, we see Wirt has nothing more to say, and we're left with nothing more to do but to head back to Hell, better equipped for the road ahead.
I must be getting close.